Hi, so I'm going to today talk about harness. So in some of the previous slides sessions, I covered Argo CD. So Argo CD is a continuous deployment solution, and specifically it works great for Kubernetes clusters. As you've seen, it syncs up the Helm or Customize or any YAML manifests, um, and then it updates the deployment in any environment based on your YAML or your Helm charts. So basically, where it is that no manual intervention, everything becomes infrastructure as code. That's what it is about. Another product which is out there is Harness. Harness is a CICD solution instead of just CD, which means it also includes continuous integration in addition to the continuous deployment. So in this, you see their website is harness.io, and they have a lot of documents and they explain what it is about. So it will give great idea on the product and the difference in the architecture between Argo CD and harness was that in Argo CD, if you can go back to my session and you'll see that I installed Argo CD all by itself in my Kubernetes cluster. So that was all on inside the cluster. So that can be on the cloud or on the prem, but the whole installation is done at one location. But in the case of harness, it's more like a SaaS solution because they provide the harness manager, which is basically where the CICD and other configurations are stored, right? And that manager lies within their a premise, which is that it's a SaaS. So what you need in your um, organization or wherever your deployments are, you just need something that is called a delegate. So it's basically software which is installed in your environment, right? So if say this is your organization, harness delegates will be installed here, and you will need to open firewall for because it's going to SaaS. So basically open everything to open port 443 outbound, you have to open to app.harness.io, and inside your premises you can have various everybody has all the Splunk, Jira. So harness integrates, so it has much more integrations, as you can see, and the architecture is pretty scalable, and it's uh, very easy as compared, so harness is another very popular CICD infrastructure as code tool. So if you can see, so in this case I'm going to simply show. So one way is you can create, so let me go to the console. So you can go to harness app, harness.app.harness.io, and then there are many free examples. So what you can do is over here, as you can see, right, you can create pipeline. So when you create pipeline, that means that from you have to have something in Git, let's say, or whatever is your source code system. So the pipeline gets created from GitHub so that it can deploy from there. And then there is environment. So what is environment is where you're going to deploy. So you can create a new environment, like I have sample dev and test environments, and you can create those. I mean, it will be created, but you can connect those using over here. And then you have services. So services is your microservices. When your applications are running in the cluster, then you have to create a service over here so that the pipe. So it works from here, from pipeline. It will get deployed to the environment, and what get deployed is your service. So I have like two samples, some services over here, and finally what you create is a workflow. So workflow is basically it um, it shows the whole how the pipeline works and where at what stage. It's like a visual representation. And finally, trigger is automatically is the trigger when the deployment happens. So that trigger could be when there is a change in the code. So let me show you the services. So in this case, I have an Nginx. I just created a simple engine, and it's given in their website. If you see over here, there is a harness continuous delivery quick start. Yeah, in the quick starts you can see there is a solution for Kubernetes CD, and what they're going to show is a simple Docker image that get picked up from the Docker Hub and in Nginx, and it will get deployed. So that is what is an example, and that's what I tried, right? So basically, I can show again. So what I did is I create a basic Nginx service, and this is the artifact Docker image, and this is the artifact resource. So This is basically where you are going to pull. You can pull from Docker registry, ECR. It integrates with all the popular all the popular registries. And finally, so as you can see, right, this is my simple, these are the templates that these are provided, and the values get filled up from here. And then a service gets created. So I can give you a demo and I can create a service and show. And then let's see the workflows. Let me just show you the workflow, right? So in the workflow, this is what a workflow looks like. So when you start deploying, like this is my Nginx deployment, right? So I have issues, it's failed, but basically it shows the steps. So, and I created a rolling update deployment. So rolling update deployment is that you don't it automatic, so you can specify that which version, how much, how many pods should be started with the particular newer version, and how many pods should slowly move change to the newer version. That's called rolling deployment. And so Kubernetes supports rolling deployments by simply Kubernetes commands. So harness uses that underline, and it shows that how the deployment is taking place. So let me show you how to create a new Nginx. I will again create an Nginx service and a new workflow to show how that works. So let me go to the, so that's a, I'm just creating a sample app. Okay, so let me go to the services, and I'm going to say add service. Now I can create a name Nginx. So let me just create a new one, Nginx new. Uh, and deployment type, they have many. You can use Helm, whatever I'm using, basic Kubernetes. So I submitted, Nginx new is created over here. Now I have to give the details over here for the Nginx new. So because I want to add the artifact, because I want to say, okay, where is it pulling the image? So I'm pulling my image from harness Docker Hub, and I'm going to give you, this is where the whole detail of the image is, right? That's the name of the repo. It's a public repo. So now I created the artifact, and if you see, I created I can add tags, but I'm not going to do that for now. And that's my deployment.yaml. And I already have an environment. This is my manifest. Okay, if I can add other stuff, but let me not do that. So if you can see, okay, so this is my deployment service. Now if I come over here, and next deployment, okay, so now I have my service. So let me go and create a workflow, and I will create a new workflow. So the name is nginx-new. Now I want to give it a rolling deployment, and I'm creating in dev. Okay, I need to pick a service name, which is Nginx new, and infrastructure. I already created a infrastructure. So this is on their website, but when you this is in their SaaS, right? So I created a dev infra, where I picked a cluster, but that's why it is. But if you see, it's one of the infrastructures that's available. It can be your environment. So I have now the new workflow. Now there is an option, if you see deploy, right? So let me click that. I'm going to do deploy Nginx new. Okay, my service tag, let's say, I just want to pick a stable tag, but you can see you can actually have multiple, you can pick whatever tag you want to deploy in your cluster. And I just want to say, okay, just send notifications to me. So now if you see over here, it started, right? So the rolling deployment, it starts pre-deployment steps, and now it's doing rolling. So for me, it failed. Okay. So I think my environment is not ready yet. Um, and I can see the error over here. Yeah, so let me fix this error. Basically something with the manifest. And so as you can see, my my rolling update deployment completed. The issue was there, it was looking for a wrong, it was looking for a variable that did not exist, so I went and fixed it in the YAML file. So this gives like a high level of how the harness application works. And so if you can see, next thing to try is to see if we can customize, right? So now this one was a plain, this was just a basic deployment of a YAML file, but it also allows us to customize the deployment, which means we can use a customize and templatize our workflow. So for example, we can create a Helm chart and then deploy using the on harness. So let's see if we can customize the and templatize our deployment. So let's select services. I'm going to select Nginx, and now there is a values.yaml. So this file, if you can see, right, it is harness example. It has the image name, the Docker, a CFG. All right. So we can edit it. So let me see if I can edit it. Okay. So these are right now there are two replicas. We can change it to, let's say, three replicas, and we save it. Now we have to redeploy it. So we go back to our workflow. So every deployment has to go through the workflow. So we go back to workflow and then we redeploy it, and we can see that the deployment. So I came to the workflow, and then this is my workflow that I want to do. And if you can see here, this icon, right, that is for templatizing. So if I templatize it, right, and if I templatize my service, and if I templatize my infrastructure definition, right, then it will create a workflow based on the variable. So this is something very cool, right? So if we pass this environment variable, you can simply you don't have, it is not, so if I wasn't doing this, I had to explicitly give the name of the environment, but as soon as I templatize it, it starts taking the environment variable. So once we submit it, it will be based on whatever value that is passed. So another thing we can do is we can also use Helm charts to deploy a service, right, with the template. So this is a repo that is basically Helm. If you can see, it's harness training, and but it's a Helm chart over here. So what this is a simple it's a Helm my chart application, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a service. So let's go back to services. I'm going to add a service, and I'm going to call it Nginx dash Helm, and then I'm going to pick Helm, right, including Helm and OpenShift, and then I'm going to submit. So it creates my new service. Now I'm going to, I have to pick, right, where my stuff is coming from, like my code is coming from. So then I am going to do here, right, and I am going to link the remote manifest. Now here I'm going to say it's a Helm chart from source repo, and I'm going to select the repo. So they already have it, which is great. Workloads, or I'm going to just paste that in the source repo, Helm fundamentals. Actually, I can just pick this one, right? And then I want latest from my branch, and my branch will be master, right? And then the file folder will be Helm, because that's the path, if you remember, my chat, right? That's what it is over here. If you see, it was Helm my chart, right? And I go back, and now version is whatever, right? I think its version is fine, the v2 version, and I'm going to update, submit it. Now what about the environment? Where is it going to run? So let me go back to the environments to make sure I have it. So I go to the environments,